Each year, we ask one arts and sciences donor to share their experience for their motivations for supporting scholarships. And Peter Steffen is our scholarship speaker tonight, our alumni speaker tonight, and he is originally from New Hampton, Iowa. He received a Lean Scholarship, was a political science major. He then went on to law school at the University of Chicago, where he took constitutional law from then Professor Barack Obama. He's a partner in the law firm of Freeborn and Peters in Chicago. His practice concentrates on complex commercial litigation and arbitration, specifically advising clients on reinsurance, accounting liability, and regulatory matters. Peter and his spouse, Kathleen Mohan, will celebrate their first wedding anniversary in just a few weeks, and we're delighted that, Kathleen, you could join us as well. For the last 6 years, he has named an annual scholarship in arts and sciences after Jim Davis, his favorite professor and mentor at Washington University. Peter, welcome.
Thank you, Dean Schall. It's an honor to be here and to represent all the many donors this evening. Of course, talking about the value of scholarships in this room is really like preaching to the choir. I can't imagine an easier audience for this speech. As a lawyer, I can only say if I could pick my juries for my cases like this room has been selected tonight, I would have a very easy job. Like so many of the donors here tonight, there's a very specific reason why I became an Arts and Sciences Scholarship donor. As Dean Schall mentioned, I'm from a small town in Iowa. 2 of my grandparents were immigrants. A third was born right after his parents arrived in this country. Neither of my parents graduated from college, but they strove and they achieved, and they valued education. When I was faced with my college decision, like many students, finances were part of the equation. I simply did not have the good fortune of being able to ignore them. I still remember the moment that we got the call from Dean Sharon Stahl, who's sitting over here, table 1, that I would receive the Lean Scholarship. I was out in the field, and I could hear my mom calling for me. This was before cell phones. And I ran back to the house, and I'm just amazed that Dean Stahl did not have any second thoughts as we were on the phone, because I was panting during the entire phone call. I remember that very well. You may not remember it, but it was 75 yards. I assure you I had good reason to be out of breath. But I'm glad she didn't have any second thoughts. I may not have attended Washington University without the Lean Scholarship, but I'm very glad that I did. That summer, about 6 weeks before I arrived on campus, my father told a friend of his what a weight it was off his shoulders to know that my college education would be paid for. 2 days later, he unexpectedly passed away. And having that scholarship was not just a great benefit to me, but it also gave him peace of mind. So this story of immigration, of being in the first generation in my family to graduate college, of financial pressure, it's the same for many students who want to attend Washington University today. And as difficult as it was to be a freshman here under my circumstances, I found my footing and a fantastic network of students, teachers, and administrators. I received a world-class education, became a more confident person, and I was fortunate to have the honor of being the president of the Student Union in my senior year. For law school at another institution that was referenced earlier, I had a mix of scholarships and loans, but on the day I graduated law school, I took the money that I'd made from summer jobs, from my dad's Social Security benefits, from a game show appearance I was on. That's a whole nother story. We don't need to get into that. And I walked into the law school bursar's office, and I paid off what loans I had. And I may not have had any money to my name when I wrote that check, after I wrote that check. But I assure you I had it when I wrote the check. But thanks in large part to having the Lean Scholarship, I walked out that day with a great job and no debt. And that meant that I had freedom. because, let's face it, a quality university education can be very expensive. And donating to scholarships serves a very specific function in our society. Studies show that student debt makes recent graduates less likely to buy homes, less likely to start businesses, less likely perhaps to start a family as soon as they might otherwise. I guess I'm not a good example of this since we just got married last year, and Kathleen will tell you I'm exceedingly frugal, but I think in the aggregate that's true for students who have debt. And student debt literally slows economic growth. Recent graduates save less for retirement. They're more likely to accrue other forms of debt. They're less likely to accept public interest jobs that don't compensate them for the debts that they have to pay off. And the mere prospect of student debt may deter some capable students from attending the best institutions that they can get into. So fundamentally, student debt reduces the power of a college degree to lead to upward mobility. And that's why your work here tonight is so important. And none of what I've just said should be very revelatory, because having less debt or having no debt means that you have more choices. And having more choices in life, really, to me, is the definition of prosperity. About 6 years ago, I began funding a scholarship in the arts and sciences. I was a political science major, as Dean Schall mentioned, and I know many go on to law school and face crushing debt when they graduate. Thus, my scholarship is for political science majors, and plus I figured somebody had to fund a scholarship for political science majors. And now we're getting one as chancellor, so when it came time to name the scholarship, I immediately thought of Jim Davis, who was a professor of political science here from 1968 until his retirement in 2009. I'm sure many of you here knew Jim. He had various administrative titles through the years, including vice chancellor, associate dean, amongst others. I knew him first as a professor. I think I took every class that he offered. He was also my faculty advisor, and we served on many university committees together where he would represent the faculty and I the students. No one embodied the spirit of Washington University more or cared for it more than Jim Davis. Jim passed away in 2016. In fact, one of the last times I saw him was at one of these dinners. His wife, Jean, and son, Warren, who are also valuable members of the university community, are here with us tonight. And Jean and Warren, if you wouldn't mind standing. So, in closing, I have two messages tonight. The first is for those of you who fund scholarships or are considering doing so because you have the ability to do so. Thank you for what you're doing, and keep doing it, and do more if you can. This work is what allows more kinds of students to attend Washington University and work to build a successful life for themselves. And Washington University is a better place for their being here. And second, for those of you here tonight who are current recipients of these scholarships, please appreciate your good fortune. I ask that someday, when you're established in your lives, that you return the favor. I may not have paid for my education when I was a student at Washington University, but I consider this scholarship my way of paying back on an IOU that I benefited from 20 years ago. Thank you very much.